Alright, so good morning, my name is Ruby Simonson. I am a local urban farmer. My farm is named First Mother Farms. I got started last year going through the Center for Land-Based Learning Farmer Training Program, and this year I'm in West Sacramento farming a quarter of an acre. So, oops, too fast. So my thing is I'm really presenting to I'm a traditional business, but I'm presenting to more of a non-traditional environment. And so for me, how do I present my business model to you guys? So my thought was, what is an urban farm really trying to solve? And the thing that I think about is millennials are not only the largest generation, but they're also the most depressed generation. And over 1 million millennials are reporting that they're either burnout, stressed out, and over half of them are women. And so for me, as a woman, I see that and I go, well, what's happening here? And what could urban farms do to be a part of the solution? For me, it's all about nature, right? So our brain on nature is in a more relaxed state, and it makes people more happy and more productive. So I would love to see more urban farms and green environments in Sacramento. What's really interesting about millennials is that not only are they the most depressed generation, but their buying and wellness habits are changing the environment. So millennials are defining wellness as more of a daily habit, a routine. It's less about really the metrics of, my waistline is this size or it's not this size, or my BMI, I match the BMI index or not. It's about how do I customize my personal wellness plan. And if you see, you could look at the data on how millennials are using gyms. They're more consumers that are kind of hopping to different experiences. They're not utilizing one gym on a regular basis. So in my thought process, I see this as an opportunity to really redefine what our cities look like. And what I can imagine is a city that is integrated with nature. And this is what I would love to see in Sacramento, and I think we have a really great foundation for it, already being the city of trees. So here's some quick stats on First Mother Farms. I'm cultivating lavender, calendula, white basil, thyme, peppermint, sage, and kind of a few other experimental herbs that not only have a really good aromatic experience, or could be dried really well for teas, also have unique medicinal properties. So what I'm planning on doing with my herbs is drying them for locally grown herbal teas, but also producing natural-based beauty products. So when I think about my beauty regimen on a regular basis, I'm always using lotion, sunscreen, and lip balm. And one of the things about small farms, when you're farming on a small scale, your cost of production is a lot higher just for that one basil plant. But if I'm able to not only produce that raw product and create a value-added product, I'm going to be much more viable a lot faster if I keep all of those things in source, or in one house, pretty much. So here's the customer that I'm looking for, the hip millennial, right? She's typically a woman who believes that she has the power to change the world. And they're conscious consumers, they're globally conscious, they're environmentally conscious, and these are the types of consumers who are looking for those products. I'm this consumer, right? So when I go to the store and I purchase something, I'm looking, where did it come from? How much did someone get paid for it? How long did it travel to get here? Is this made out of cardboard or plastic? So those are all questions that I'm asking myself, and a lot of times those answers, those questions aren't answered. It's very ambiguous, and organic is definitely something that is bastardized in the industry, and something that really doesn't mean organic or sustainable anymore. I keep on clicking way too fast. So here are my gaps and my needs. So I need support with online marketing. I need a CPA that specializes in agriculture as well as manufacturing. So I kind of have two different businesses in one house. Obviously, I need multiple evangelists, and I need creative event partners, because I'm really trying to push the envelope in terms of what people see as urban farms and what people expect out of urban farms, because I believe that there is a market opportunity in urban farms, but there isn't a lot of people on the West Coast, given that our climate is so amazing for agriculture, and you're competing with large industries that are really breaking into this niche market. So I hope that you join me and First Mother Farms in making Sacramento not only the city of trees, but the city of green.
A minute and a half to spare there. Excellent. So you already went into a little bit how the community can help you. Do you want to share anything specific that this audience can do to help you before we get to general questions?
So one thing I didn't share that I wanted to have more of the opportunity to share was that I crowdsourced in January for $5,000 for my startup costs. So one of my goals was to not have to come out of pocket for my startup costs, right? So $5,000 pretty much covered that. You know, my personal story for me and why I got into farming is, you know, yoga, meditation, farming is something that is very therapeutic. I was in an abusive relationship for 2 or 3 years. You know, once that kind of escalated and things like that, I really knew that I needed to make a change and get out of that situation. And for me, those were the 2 things that I gravitated towards. So out of the $5,000 that I raised, I made a commitment to donate 10% of that to feed. And I think that it's important that, especially as a woman who's had that experience, to share that you're on the other side of that. And a lot of times, women don't, you know. And so when you're in that kind of emotional state, and you're a survivor and you're overcoming that, and you're not in that kind of mental state of emergency all the time. Women aren't talking about, hey, I made it through. And I think for me, as a young woman who's breaking into business, it's important to say that because it is a part of my story. And it's a part of why I believe I have the grit, you know, to make it through these challenges. So I think that's always important to get back to those things as we do.
Awesome. For those who don't know, can you tell us what WEAVE is?
So WEAVE is a local nonprofit that pretty much specializes in supporting women and families that are survivors of domestic violence.
Great. So I'll now open it up for general questions.
So where did you go to get your first funding?
I went through GoFundMe. Yeah.
GoFundMe, okay.
Yeah, GoFundMe, and really just my own network, and being a part of this, you know, the beginning farmer community. People are definitely willing to support you through that. And so going through the training program through Center for Land-Based Learning really gave me that additional platform to really know kind of the big players in agriculture, not just in the urban environment, but, you know, traditional agriculture. So there's definitely a really cool, supportive community there. Okay. And I was blown away that I raised the $5,000 in under a month.
Were you expecting the results, or?
I wasn't, and I think I was just kind of underestimating, you know, when you're grinding, you forget like the relationships that you build and the people that you talk to and all that type of stuff. So I was surprised that it was that quick, and I was really nervous to actually put myself out there in that way. So pleasantly surprised.
So where are you actually located? Where do you grow everything?
So I'm in West Sacramento off of 5th and C Street. It's 427 C Street, so if you want to drive by. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think I was driven by there.
Do you have any locations in Sacramento that you would target as being the first
site specifically in Sacramento? Yes and no. So there's, I'm really connected in the urban ag environment in Oak Park, and so there's definitely a couple of vacant lots that community has been farming for a couple of years, and they have some additional sites that I could farm. Right now it comes down to capacity. So, you know, in my first year it's more about setting up my shop. So I'm actually less focused on how much I'm producing and more like back at house, right? So, you know, my accounting systems, marketing, you know, getting that stuff in place. So my plot is very small and really manageable for myself and one other person, so.
So when you first started, did you have success right away with your crops?
No, actually. So the thing with herbs is they're really temperamental when you're starting them from seed. So, you know, I gave it a shot saying, you know, I'll do my own little greenhouse, I'll do the starts and that sort of thing. And I have a background studying bonsai, and so it's like, to me, it's like I wasn't uncomfortable with like, you know, the exotic plants and trying to figure that out. But my backup plan was that I was going to pre-order my starts, right? So I'm like, going to give this a shot, but they're probably going to die. So, you know, my backup plan is to have starts. So I anticipated that that was going to be my challenge, and so, you know, luckily I have the starts, and if any of you guys know about farming right now, the season got started late, so a lot of farmers haven't even gotten into the ground. So my other urban farm, you know, friends and competitors are looking at me like, how did you get those plants in the ground so fast? You know, and I'm like, well, I ordered them. So, you know, that's a challenge. Yes.
Do you have any plans to, I guess, kind of developmental products, so that to help people who don't necessarily are basically intimidated by starting a farm. So be it like a little package of like fertilizer and, you know, a trowel and you know, that comes in like a half wine barrel or something like that.
Yeah, so my thoughts go more towards farmers who've already started a little bit. There's plenty of people who are trying to do like the vertical farm in the box and do that stuff. I would say there's a market for that, but that takes a lot of upfront education, right? So I would rather use my farm as a platform for getting people interested in the other aspects of farming, because, you know, everyone knows, you know, we need more farmers, we need to grow more food, we need to do these more things, right? But to me, it's like, well, what's attractive about farming for a millennial? Like, you gotta make it sexy for me, right? So I'm not gonna just be out in the soil my entire life feeling like I'm slaving away. There has to be other creative aspects to it, and I think urban farming has that edge that is more attractive to a younger generation. So to me, my platform would be creating products, like a lot of apps that come out for farmers to kind of track their accounting data, or having a manageable inventory system or things like that, or the gross amount of paperwork that you have to do as a farmer, even on a small scale. I mean, it's insane, and you have to have, you know, record keeping for everything. So to me, there's a market for definitely creating or developing an app or some type of online device that actually caters to the small scale, medium scale farmer that has to do all that record keeping and make it a lot more streamlined. And one of the biggest complaints from farmers around these apps that are being created, or solutions or whatever, is that they're not created by farmers. So the actual, you know, technical know-how and really what makes sense, you know, for a farmer is not getting baked into that. So I think I have a competitive advantage, you know, over other people creating apps, that if I partner with the right person, you know, I have the connections with that type of community to kind of ideate those types of, you know, products, whatever.
I guess I'm slightly confused. So the end goal is to make money off selling the dry herbs as tea, and then building it up, building the business up in that way. But you're also wanting to like get people into urban farming at the same time to kind of supplement that, or are you going to be expanding your own personal farm?
Yeah, okay, so yeah, I could clarify that. So I'm a big vision thinker, right? So the reason why I'm excited to be in urban farming or farming in general is that I see the opportunities, right? So I may start with just farming myself, and one of the things, or one of the critiques that I really have of urban farmers or small scale farmers is they're trying to do too much at once. So really, my first year is about establishing my own farm, you know, getting the technical things under house and having those managed well, and having my systems managed in a way where it's like my whole thing is like, how can I be the most lazy farmer that I could possibly be, where like my plants don't even need my help. So that's like my, you know, that's kind of like my end goal. So how do I do that? And so I'm really just focused on the technical side of the farming, but I do have other aspirations and ideas for how you could make this a part of a larger movement, or other product ideas, but that's not something that I'm going to, you know, dump my energy into now while I'm standing up a business. So.
Well, it just sounds like you have a whole opportunity just to do an entire nonprofit on the whole urban farm movement. You already know the challenges, the paperwork, and the issues with millennials. I'm lazy as hell. I'm not gonna go out and farm, but if you can, a nonprofit can make it much simpler, you know, and I already have the money to buy a plot in downtown, you know, and you can help out with that. That's a possibility. That's, you know, that's a whole business on its own.
Yeah, and for me, I'd want to keep it in a true business or a true corporation, and, you know, be a socially minded or socially driven business, because really in the farming community they have a visceral reaction to nonprofit farms, right? So I believe that I could be a for-profit farm, but provide that social aspect and that social give back, where people are willing to pay a higher premium for a higher quality product, or the perception of a higher quality product, but also with that wraparound story, right? So for me, it's all about that alignment and that accountability with who I am personally. That I'm not selling you a lie, right? So this is it, you know. And I think when you have that and you can tap into that, then kind of those other challenges that you face, it's like what challenges?
You're like Tom Shoes for farming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you plan on making Sacramento a city of green? So that was kind of your closing tagline, very cool. But to expand into the urban, atmosphere, how would you plan to do that? Or promote that?
Promote that, yeah.
Yeah. So my idea, because I love that, but obviously ground level real estate is a premium, right? And it's going to be the cost of that's going to outweigh what you'll be able to yield to justify it. But what the White House did under the previous administration was to put beehives on top of the White House. San Francisco quickly followed suit, and very high-end hotels started putting beehives on the rooftops to promote the population of honeybees, which is on the decline. It'd be very cool to see rooftop gardens. To look down, you can go out here and to look down, and it actually makes buildings more energy efficient because it insulates. The rooftops around here are hideous unless they're covered with solar. So that'd be a very cool way to not only expand the farms, but what a great promotional tool.
Yeah.
And then to actually connect with the Kings and maybe get them to have you sponsor a segment of their live wall with your herbs and branding.
Yeah, so that was actually where I was going to go with that rooftop gardens. I mean, the thing that drives me crazy is that the East Coast is all over urban farming, right? But it's more out of necessity because, they have a short growing season, they're experimenting with more vertical farms, the rooftop gardens, all of that stuff. Their sports teams are sponsoring, like a little section of the garden and all that stuff. But we're not, and we have a perfect equipment for it. So we should be capitalizing on that, and we could be more innovative and pushing the envelope, given that we have, a nicer climate. So rooftop gardens for sure, and then looking at spaces more creatively, right? So those little median strips, the sides of large building walls and things like that. Like there's a lot of wasted space that we're not utilizing. Kind of experimenting with those like micro parklets and things like that are also active and thriving with native flowers and things like that are good for pollinators, so, for sure.
I'm going to plant a seed on you because you have something really good going. Have you ever talked to the city manager? Because you have a nonprofit. The city has a lot of plots that are empty that could be utilized. But through the nonprofit, there's also a healing process for those women.
Yeah.
And you can actually create a program with a nonprofit, the city, and the plots in the city that are landscaped and landscaping with, and create jobs too, because they can also, use that as a healing, but also as a source of revenue. And if you really want to, tap into that idea, look into talking to the urban planners or landscaping planners in the city and the nonprofit, and I can guarantee you will find something that the city will embrace because you're tackling a lot of problems. The green issue, then, healing process for women that are, coming from, how you transition that from, being better into productive, and maybe they'll have their own gardens as a source of income.
Right.
So on the business side, we've talked about a lot of nonprofit ideas. There's two companies that have presented here that I think will be interesting for you to talk to, that some of them might even address the side of the app or record keeping that you're looking at. And one is Alvaro Ramirez from eHarvest Hub. And have you heard of him? So his business is, he connects small farmers with independently with truckers and then gets them directly to wherever the product's going to be sold. And he talked a lot about record keeping and organics and things like that. So there may be something there. And then the other is Barley Oats Organic Farms, who I think they pivoted a little bit on their original idea. The original idea was people could pick like a 4x4 spot and they'd farm it for them. So kind of like the produce boxes to your doorstep, except for this time you're selecting the exact things you want them to plant, and they're giving you prices. But they pivot a little bit, and they want to do search for restaurants first as their initial customers, where they can grow specialty vegetables and things for them. So there might be some kind of fit there. So I'm going to send you an email introducing you to Fred and Alvaro. I think it'd be great if we chatted and there might be some synergies there.
I just wrote down this website this morning for somebody totally different, but it's modernag.org. And you want to check it out because they have all kinds of programs for people like you.
Maybe you could find a little larger player in the market industry that's lacking like the cool factor, you know, so that an older type that kind of not really marketing themselves, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The right way or whatever, and maybe form some kind of partnership with them where, I don't know, where they can maybe possibly help you out in your startup costs and stuff like that. Maybe so they can kind of gravitate toward a more hip crowd or something like that. Because, you know, Sacramento is all about, you know, farm to fork. They're trying to change. They want Sacramento to be all about food. Natural, organic, local food. That's why they changed the water tower, obviously. Everybody's pissed off about it, but it's the truth. They think every city has some strong point, and they think that is the heart of Sacramento. So, I mean, it's definitely, you will fit right in, for sure. And I think a lot of, I come from farming grandparents and stuff like that. Farming, I love it. I love the land. I love being out there, being in nature and everything. But it just lacks the cool factor with the younger crowd because they just don't see, they don't get it. They don't get that aspect of it. You know, they don't get about the aspect of going out and, you know, playing in the water sometimes or throwing some dirt.